Murders and animosities are common in this cruel world, but when the murder is of a 6-year-old girl, it chills us to our bone. This was the case of child beauty queen JonBenet Ramsey, who was found dead in the basement of her own house in Colorado. A ransom note demanding $118,000 from JonBenet's father made the mystery more intense. So, why did the murderer leave a ransom note if the plan was to kill the girl anyway? Or was it just a cover-up for a situation that got out of hand? Stay tuned as we pick apart the mysterious murder of JonBenet Ramsey. Ramsey was born to the president of Access Graphics, John Ramsey, and his wife, Patsy, on August 6, 1990. Patsy was his second wife, and they had moved to Boulder near the company's headquarters. Things were seemingly great for the little girl. She had a rich family, an older brother, and even a career as a child beauty queen. Her mother, Patsy, was the one to introduce her to various beauty pageants. But things were about to take a turn for the worst for the little angel. On December 26, 1996, Patsy Ramsey realized her daughter was missing when she found a long, handwritten ransom note on the kitchen staircase. She immediately notified authorities, and they arrived at the Ramsey residence immediately. However, there was no sign of little JonBenet despite the police's extensive search. In the ransom note, the alleged kidnapper demanded $118,000. However, John and Patsy Ramsey never got the chance to pay the ransom because John found little JonBenet dead 7 hours after reporting her missing. During the operation, Officer Rick French discovered the basement. He and John Ramsey burst past the door, discovering JonBenet's lifeless body covered in a white blanket. She had tape over her mouth, and a strong cord was tied around her wrist and neck. The most intriguing part of the ransom note was its length, which made it obvious that it wasn't written at the crime scene. As investigations went on, the CBI suggested that Patsy could have written the note and could be a cover-up. There were no other fingerprints apart from Patsy's and the officials handling the investigation. To help the detectives find answers, every person in the Ramsey family gave the police samples of their handwriting, blood, and hair. John and Patsy Ramsey talked to the police for over 2 hours, sharing their side of the story. As the weeks went by after JonBenet's passing, even young Burke talked to the police. Then, John Ramsey came forward with a new piece of information, adding to the twists and turns of the gruesome event. As per him, the amount in the ransom note was almost the same as his previous year's Christmas bonus. So, the murderer could have been someone from Ramsey's company, Access Graphics. The only other source of information on the murderer was JonBenet's lifeless body, which showed that she had been hit on the head, leading to a broken skull. However, her cause of death was asphyxia, meaning she had been strangled. The garrote around her neck further confirmed this. But who was the murderer, and why weren't there any fingerprints at the crime scene? Stay tuned as we answer all these questions next. As the investigation continued, JonBenet's older brother, Burke, became a suspect of speculation. However, in 1999, both the police and the district attorney publicly stated that Burke was not a suspect. This unexpected turn left the world wondering, if not the family, then who could be responsible for such a heinous act? During the chaos, JonBenet's parents turned to the media, giving televised interviews to defend their innocence. However, they would only cooperate with the authorities on their own terms. This made the situation even more intense. putting further suspicion on the Ramsey's family's actions. But by October 1997, their list of persons of interest had reached over 1,600. Unfortunately, the initial investigation was plagued by mistakes. There was a lot of missing evidence and unintentional tampering with the crime scene. Then came Lou Smith, a retired detective who jumped back into action in 1997 to help solve the case. However, his findings removed the target from the Ramseys. Even though the authorities couldn't prove the Ramseys of murdering their 6-year-old daughter, a grand jury proposed charging the Ramseys. The proposed charges were for putting JonBenet in harm's way and obstructing a murder investigation. However, Boulder County District Attorney Alex Hunter didn't proceed with prosecution due to a higher standard of proof required. Ultimately, the debate between the investigators was over two theories. The first one is that the Ramseys killed their daughter and tried to cover up the crime with a well-crafted ransom note. The second theory was that on the night of December 25th, 1996, the Ramsey residence was broken into by an intruder. Early on, investigators looked into various people. These included the family's neighbor, Bill McReynolds, a local reporter, Chris Wolf, and Michael Helgoth. However, Helgoth died by suicide after the tragedy. According to Detective Lou Smith, the intruder could have entered through a broken basement window. This was because the house had two slightly open windows for Christmas lights. The intruder might have used a stun gun on JonBenet, took her to the basement, and ended her life there. A secondary theory also supported this idea. There's a high chance that JonBenet's career in the pageant world caught the attention of child predators, but the focus on the Ramseys hindered this lead. So, the family might not be directly responsible for the murder, but they indirectly exposed JonBenet to danger. The investigation found over 100 burglaries before JonBenet's tragedy. Also, 38 registered sex offenders lived nearby. In 2001, former prosecutor Trip DeMuth and Detective Steve Ainsworth pushed for a closer look at the intruder theory, wanting to explore every angle. The most significant among them was Gary Howard Oliva. In 2016, Oliva faced charges linked to child exploitation. He was a registered sex offender and had been suspected in the case. But the cobweb of this deadly crime had only started weaving. Next up, we cover a twisted confession in this case. On August 15, 2006, a confession was made in the JonBenet murder case. Alexis Val Reich was a 41-year-old school teacher who claimed to have drugged, assaulted, and accidentally killed JonBenet. However, as per CNN, the authorities found no proof linking him to the murder. It was also weird that Reich had provided only basic and publicly known facts about the incident leading to the death. Plus, he had also failed to provide any additional convincing details. The claim that JonBenet was drugged further cast doubt on the confession because the autopsy indicated no drugs were found in her body. In addition to this, Reich's DNA did not match the DNA found on JonBenet's body. But his suspicious behavior didn't end there. On October 26, 2006, Carr made a shady move using Alex Reich. He emailed Bill Hammonds of Bill's List asking for a literary agent to publish a controversial manuscript. The world watched in shock as the investigation unfolded, but it wasn't until recently that the new documents surfaced, shedding light on a DNA twist. Stick around to find out what they said. Exclusive documents unearthed from the early days of the investigation reveal a shocking truth. DNA evidence recovered from under JonBenet's fingernails and clothes. did not match any family members or those close to the case. The results, available just weeks after the crime, raised questions that would haunt the investigators for years. Lou Smith believed the key suspect wasn't within the Ramsey family, but an unknown intruder lurking in the shadows. But his relentless pursuit of the truth came at a cost. Frustrated by the police's insistence on focusing on the family, Smith walked away from the case, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. Could the foreign DNA have innocent explanations, or is it the missing link to unlocking the truth? John Ramsey, JonBenet's father, refuses to let her memory fade away. He's fought to uncover the truth for years, pushing for more DNA testing and independent reviews. His dedication has led to a glimmer of hope for justice, as Colorado's Director of Public Safety promises to reevaluate the case with fresh eyes. The chilling mystery of JonBenet Ramsey's murder continues to grip us. With new evidence surfacing and experts re-examining the case, we stand on the edge of uncovering a truth that has eluded us for so long. As the search for justice persists, one thing is certain: the haunting legacy of JonBenet Ramsey's will forever keep us on edge. And remember, stay safe out there.